So when I was 14 and playing this game, I was unbelievably addicted. I played all the time. I played on the bus. I played in school. And it was not good. Like I played so much, and we all did. All the kids our age did, but I definitely played a lot more than that. So one day at school, this kid comes to me on the bus when I'm 14, and he's like, "Hey, I'll give you like an actual $20 bill." He's like, "I'll give you this actual real life money if you give me 1 million of those virtual coins." So he would post a player on the auction house who was worth nothing, just some horrible bench player for 1 million coins. And I'd buy that bench player for 1 million coins. Now he's got 1 million coins on his account and I've got the $20 bill. And I was like, hey, that's a pretty good idea, honestly. So I made, and this is where MMG comes from. A lot of people do not know this, but this is where MMG comes from. I made an Instagram account. It was called Madden Mobile Gods, which is where MMG comes from.
What is up, everyone? This is episode number 3, and today we are talking the business side of Matthew Meager, better known on the internet as MMG. So I've worked with MMG for over 4 years and been really excited to get him on the podcast because he is one of the biggest sports creators on YouTube. 2 million subs, 700 million views. I mean, he is a big, big name. But the part I find really interesting is that he never intended to become a content creator. He got started as a 14-year-old selling Madden Coins, a virtual currency, over the internet. And he used YouTube to generate more business. So his YouTube videos were his lead generation. But eventually he was making more money creating content on YouTube than selling the actual Madden Coins. So from there, he dived headfirst into the content game, all while managing a full course load at Michigan State. Okay. So I've set the scene. I've given you the background. Let's talk about this episode. And we cover a lot, from Madden Coins to botting, staying in college while being a content creator, creators' relationship with game publishers, the future of sports media. And I finished the podcast making MMG a $6 million offer. I know, big. But before we jump back into the episode, please make sure to rate and subscribe. It means a ton. All right, thanks. I would say you are one of the biggest personalities, particularly in Madden, but also, would you call yourself a sports YouTuber anymore? Or are you trying to, because I think you were originally a Madden YouTuber, and then now you've definitely diversified into like other content. So what would you call yourself?
I think I do like the label of sports YouTuber, and I think I do want to stay in that niche, to be totally honest. A lot of people, that's like a super common question. It's always like, when are you going to branch out into this? When are you going to branch out into that? But I am super grateful for how beautiful the sports YouTube niche is. From the business side of it, for sure, you get really, really good CPMs in like a sports niche like this, because my demographics are going to be 97% male. So targeted ads are going to all go to males. So you're going to get a lot better CPMs for that. On top of that, my demographics are going to be particularly United States. That would be the same for most sports, but you get a sport like basketball where it's a global sport. So they're going to get 80% views US, which is the highest paying like ad revenue on YouTube is the US ads. But then they're going to get 15% like, European ads, for example, which pay about half per US ad. But if you're in the football world, like the NFL football world, which is the coolest world to be in, I think if you're on YouTube, you get predominantly almost 95% US ads. So then, from the business side of it, it's really, really, really nice to be like a NFL sports YouTuber. Like I know me, Destroying, all the rest of men guys are really grateful for that. So I really like being a sports YouTuber. I think it's so much fun. I love the NFL. I love Madden. And I'm definitely happy with the sports YouTuber label.
I did some research on your life story. Well, your life story, your story on YouTube.
Gotcha.
And I want to start with like how you got in the YouTube game through Madden Coins. What are Madden Coins, and why did you start posting about it on YouTube?
Back at the beginning, it all started when I was 14. I was a freshman in high school, and Madden Mobile came out. So what I'm really well known for now is playing Madden on the console, like Madden on Xbox, Madden on PS5. Right. But the real game that made Madden huge, like that everybody across the United States was playing, without a doubt, was Madden Mobile. It was like the #1 game on the App Store for the whole 2014 to 2016. This game was nuts. And what it had was a
What
virtual...
phone were you on, by the way?
Oh, God.
Like, what game was Madden Mobile?
It must have been like the iPhone 5.
So you were on an iPhone?
No, it was an
iPod.
iPod. I didn't have an iPhone yet. I had an NV2, an NV2 Verizon phone, and an iPod Touch. That's what I was playing it on. It was an iPod Touch.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Yeah, I know. We're talking a long time. This is 8 years ago. Yeah, this is 8 years ago.
Trying to think what quarterbacks you could have been playing with back then.
I know, right? I don't even remember. I think this is when Richard Sherman was on the cover of Madden on the Seahawks.
Okay.
Now he's on the 49ers. But yeah, the game works off of a virtual currency system. That's what the coins are. So what you can do is build a team out of any of the players in the NFL. So like some of the best players in the game are like JJ Watt, Russell Wilson, something like that. But if you wanted those players, you had to spend your virtual currency to get them. So there was an auction house where you could buy and sell players for what they're worth. So for example, a Russell Wilson might be worth 1 million coins. So if I want Russell Wilson, I got to spend 1 million coins on him. Mm-hmm. So when I was 14 and playing this game, I was unbelievably addicted. I played all the time. I played on the bus. I played in school. It was not good. Like I played so much, and we all did. All the kids our age did, but I definitely played a lot more than that. So one day at school, this kid comes to me on the bus when I'm 14, and he's like, "Hey, I'll give you like an actual $20 bill." He's like, "I'll give you this actual real life money if you give me 1 million of those virtual coins." So he would post a player on the auction house who was worth nothing, just some horrible bench player for 1 million coins. And I'd buy that bench player for 1 million coins. Now he's got 1 million coins on his account and I've got the $20 bill. And I was like, hey, that's a pretty good idea, honestly. So I made, and this is where MMG comes from. A lot of people do not know this, but this is where MMG comes from. I made an Instagram account. It was called Madden Mobile Gods, which is where MMG comes from. Because
G-O-D or G-A-W-D? It
was G-O-D-S because someone took Madden Mobile God. So people used to always think there was 2 people on my account as well. I was thought I was like co-ran or something, which was funny. But so I started self-promoting myself under the NFL's posts. They would post anything and I would have this big copy paste messages written up. It would just be like, boop, place it in, go.
Yep, love it.
It was like, yo, if you need Madden Mobile coins, hit me up. I'll get you So I started. So for the next 2 years, when I was 14, 15, and 16, I was selling the virtual currency over to people. Like they would just say, hey, I'll give you, I was like, hey, it was $50 for 1 million. That was the exchange rate. So they would, they'd give me $50 PayPal or Amazon gift card. And then I would send them the 1 million virtual coins. And I did that for 2 years. It evolved into what we called in the Madden Mobile world was called botting. So it eventually was like I couldn't make enough coins just playing the game by myself to earn them. So I bought, there's this $20 Android called I wish I remember what it was called because it was like the Madden Mobile Classic. Our little Madden Mobile community sold these things out on Amazon because we were all buying them. And I had like 20 of these things. And they
20 of these phones?
20 of these phones. Yeah. They were $20 each. There's this room in my parents' house because I'm still like 15, And it's just lined with power strips and these little Androids plugged in, and you'd get this little bot script is what we'd call it. But it's basically the Androids were kind of jailbroken like an iPhone was. So you could get this app where you could record you clicking and then you could play it on an infinite loop. So we'd record us playing Madden Mobile and earning coins basically, and then play it on an infinite loop so that these Androids would infinitely, like you'd set it up at 6 a.m, go to school, come back, and now you got this big farm of coins sitting there.
Jesus Christ.
I know. It was ridiculous. So I'd get home and I'd log into one of the little devices and I'd send, whoever bought coins, I'd just choose one of the devices, send the coins off to him. Did that until I was 16. When I was 16.
Did your parents say anything about this?
They hated going in that room. I remember that. They would always like, they were so supportive. I love them so much for that. Cause a lot of my friends were like, well, my parents would not let me like play this much video games basically.
Right.
But they would always try to learn about the room and why there was like 100, little Androids just sitting on the ground. And I was like, I would try to explain it and they were like, all right, we give up. Like, you go do you.
I mean, that's entrepreneurship. I don't know what else to say. Like in 16, I think I that was not on my radar of things to do. I was not selling virtual currency, which is essentially worthless, but like worth in this game for real cash. To who? Other kids like yourself all over the country?
Yeah, that was definitely it. And there's a little community for it. I mean, 16, thank you. That's flattering, but you should have seen some of these other kids, man. Like there was kids just like me doing it. We were all the sellers. We were the guys with the bots who sold the coins. Some of these kids were like 11. These kids were younger than me. I was definitely one of the oldest, without a doubt. At 16, I was definitely one of the oldest.
Okay. So
which was pretty crazy for sure.
When did you decide? So you start uploading these videos on YouTube as kind of like lead generation, right?
Exactly.
You're kind of there. They're going to come to you that way. And then when did you transition to content creator?
I had no idea that you could monetize YouTube videos. I did not know that that was a thing. I had literally no idea. I used to watch when I was like very, very young. I'd watch Smosh all the time. Like Smosh was like the people. And I didn't know they were making money from it. I thought these guys just love making videos, which I'm sure they did. But I got an email after, I think, 8 months of uploading YouTube videos. I started uploading January 1st, 2015. And it was like in August. So yeah, about 8 months, 9 months, I got an email and they said, it was from YouTube. And they said, hey, this is like after you get a certain amount of views, YouTube will basically ask you if they can monetize your videos, which I'm sure you're aware of. But for anyone listening, you can't just make a YouTube video and start earning on it. You have to get approved for monetization. So they're like, hey, can we monetize your videos? And I was like, yeah, you can monetize my videos.
Please.
Let me think about that. So yeah, I checked yes, and I didn't even realize you can make it. And I think I made about $150 over the next like 20 videos I made. And I thought that was so cool. And then that really started to ramp up pretty exponentially. I have a very linear growth pattern. It wasn't like, brick wall explosion. It was very like, so it was nice. And it was very motivating to see that it was like really slowly climbing. So I did that and sold coins for what would have been my senior year of high school. I was doing both at the same time. And then going into my freshman year of college is when YouTube was making enough to where I didn't need to sell the coins anymore. I didn't have to go through all of that like bot stuff. So I stopped doing that and I went full on into being a content creator. Would have been going freshman year into college.
And were you nervous at all about putting your face out there? Because like I watched a little bit of the initial videos and you didn't show the grill that much then.
That's very true. Yeah. Oh, dude. And I had the worst acne in high school. I was always so worried about that. But I mean, especially because we were in a small community, I had no like broad, big picture ideas. So I never thought about it like, all these people are going to see it. I thought about it as like the little, very small Madden Mobile community is going to see my face. And I was fine with that. I was totally fine with that because I had posted my face on Instagram sometimes, like on the Madden Mobile Gods account. So I think if I had known the scale it would have gone, I would have been a lot more scared to do that.
Sure. So do you view it as like a side hustle at this point in college? You're like, this is what I do on the side. This is kind of a thing I do. It's a hobby. Or you were like, I want to be a content creator eventually once I graduate.
I never had any goals to be a content creator. That was for sure. I figured that's such a good question though. I wouldn't say it was a side hustle because I invested like really serious time into it, but I definitely never pictured myself as a content creator. I think what I said to myself, I know what I said to myself was, I'm going to do this until it's not worth my time. That's definitely what I said to myself. Because at the time there was no excuse for me not to continue to make videos. I definitely wasn't daily uploading then though. I was probably posting like 3 times a week. It was relatively easy.
I remember hearing you were interning for like Pepsi or something this summer. And I was talking to Greg, shout out Greg on the team. But I was like, hold up. He's interning? Like, isn't he like a YouTube star and he's interning at Pepsi? What's going on here? By your junior year, you were making good money on YouTube. It wasn't like you're making more money than 99% of your class is making out of college, right? Probably more. Yeah. And you stuck with it. And I always found that an interesting decision. What was that decision process?
Am I allowed to curse on
Oh, you
this?
can say everything.
It was definitely a gigantic fuck you. Like all of it was. Um, Partially though, I will say my
Fuck you to
parents,
you.
just everyone. I think I really was always bothered with how pretentious. I think pretentious would probably be the word. A lot of people in the YouTube world are.
Yeah.
At least probably, yeah. I mean, that's tough to say because there are people who work incredibly hard. And it was definitely more of a like a 18, 19, 20. But I was always bothered that people would complain. That's what I was bothered about. But people bothered by people who complain, like big YouTube stars or like 200,000 plus subscribers. These guys are making like 10K, 20K plus a month with the absolute best job in the world, like the best job in the world. I would say being a YouTuber is like, there's
Right.
very few things like you were saying, it's the number one thing kids want to be now. Like
Right.
it's taking over astronaut and firefighter, whatever.
Might be kind of sad for society, but
it is a sad totem for society. But
yeah,
it was always like, wow, you guys have the most beautiful life in your hands, and you're complaining about like getting demonetized for dropping an F-bomb in the first 3 seconds. Then don't drop an F-bomb in the first 3 seconds of your video. Why are you complaining about that?
right.
Stuff like that. So I knew that it was a very doable thing to go through college and do it. I absolutely love Michigan State University. That totally helps. It's not like I dreaded college and was just doing it out of spite.
I mean, you had fun for sure.
Oh, I loved it. It was so much fun. I picked a relatively easy major. Marketing for me, especially at Michigan State University, very easy. Yeah. I say that sometimes, and people will have gone to like, University of Chicago and did marketing, and it was like hell for them. So I don't want to say it's super easy to do marketing everywhere, but it was pretty easy at MSU.
I mean, counterpoint, I'd say what you know about marketing, doing what you're doing is probably more than you're going to read in a lot of textbooks. So I'd say you were kind of a leg up from the competition. I bet you those textbooks didn't say a lot about YouTube influencer marketing.
Correct. They didn't plop those down, but that's a good point. I definitely was acclimated to that stuff before going in. So that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I don't know. I had an excellent time. Also, I think a part of it was, this is going to sound pretentious too. I don't want to pretend like this was some massive portion of my decision, but it was definitely a little bit of a role model type thing.
Right.
I think a lot of these, I get really sad when I see like 14-year-old kids who like text me and tell me how badly, they want to like drop out of high school and become like a YouTuber or something. And it's like, bro, I'm happy that you have a dream and you want to pursue it, but that is a really bad, realistic long-term goal. I don't know if this has ever influenced anybody, but I think hopefully some of my subscribers have seen that even if YouTube is your goal or something like that, you could still pursue higher education, or you could still pursue like a realistic career path and do it at the same time. So the idea that like the dream goal is to go to college and drop out because you're so good at a video game, I think is unrealistic. And I think it's just too bad that so many kids really want to do that.
I heard a good comparison recently, and it was social media stars are kind of like athletes, but in the way where, all right, your time you're going to make money is compressed to like 2 years. And there's a decent chance after that 2 years, you might not be anywhere close to where you are today. So if you're not building the skills and a college degree and not the backup plan, but literally like a long-term view of the future, that you could end up like a lot of athletes end up, where you dedicate your life completely to football. You don't really take real classes. You graduate without a degree. You make a team, you get cut, and now you're just like, shit, what do I do now?
That's so true. That's so true. And especially because people view those dollar amounts as so high. But if you're 22 and you get like an NFL contract, for example, for $1 million, that is a lot of money. But $1 million for the rest of your life is not that much money, especially if you're living to like 80. That's tough. That's really tough.
So then you made the decision after college, you moved to LA, and you say, I'm about to take over this content thing. Is that the mindset now?
It was definitely after graduating college. I have a really excellent opportunity here. I have to maximize it. I have to provide it. And that's kind of really where the daily upload thing was, is if I'm going to do this, I'm not allowed to have this horrible schedule. Because if I'm making my own schedule and I'm not doing college, I'm going to have so much free time and I'm going to be a degenerate. So it was definitely, let's make full-time content. Let's start making, I was definitely constrained of making content with other creators too from college.
Right.
Like a lot of people are in LA, that's part of it, but also I couldn't take a lot of flights. That was the tough thing. I couldn't go a lot of places. Like oftentimes I was taking flights, I'd have to like reschedule a whole exam with a professor, or I'd have to seriously just miss classes like really often. So it's really nice to have their freedom to actually just go make videos. Like the amount of videos I've made with other content creators since I've been in LA is already like 5 times more than I've done in the last 4 years. So,
And do you see that growth helping the channel?
I don't know. That's actually a really good question. I don't know if I've seen anything like out of the ordinary. I think it's just really fun. It's just really fun to make those connections, like to actually hang out with like Zach and Chidel and Destroying and all these people that I make content with now. It's just exciting. It's exciting to talk to people in my world.
It's like having coworkers. I mean,
Yes.
Right now I'm sitting in my apartment and my coworkers are all over the US and I don't see them, and it's like lonely as fuck. It's just like very, very lonely. So I get that feeling. So when you like we moved to LA, and then now is it, let's just double down on the YouTube channel and make it as big as possible?
Definitely making it as sustainable as possible. I think what a lot of YouTubers at least should be going for, I don't want to tell anyone how to do their thing, but I think a good long-term strategy for all YouTubers is to try to don't think of it as a job, but try to get it as close to something that you know can be recurring as much as you can. You don't want to get too stuck in a fad. It's a bit pretentious for me to say that because my game comes out every year. Madden comes out every single year. That's awesome. I don't think the NFL is going anywhere too soon. But especially when I branch out and do different stuff content-wise, I don't spread my roots very far. It's a little bit, it's a little safe. It's kind of lame, I will definitely say. I would definitely like to go like crazy. But for example, what I don't want to do is start playing something like Fortnite. I definitely made Fortnite stuff on my channel, but even when I was making Fortnite stuff, it would be Fortnite video, Madden video, Fortnite video, Madden video. I don't want to like jump out in this Fortnite realm, go chasing it. And then, I mean, to be honest, I couldn't name a Fortnite YouTuber still right now. As much as that was the biggest game in the world, unless you're Ninja, Nick Merckx, and a select few other people, that's not, I mean, nobody really plays. Not to my knowledge, at least, is a big Fortnite player anymore. So
there was this tweet, I forget what it was, but it went viral, and I felt bad for the guy a little bit because he got crushed. But it was like, his point was people playing games, he wouldn't talk about Madden, but when he talked about Madden, should actually be paying the game developers.
Dude, I saw that tweet. Oh,
I couldn't believe he kept that up.
And I was know.
and I also think about how much publicity and power you bring the Madden franchise in terms of right now their marketing is, I don't know, the TV ads I see that look like they have slightly better graphics. No offense to Madden than the previous years. I haven't bought the new one. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that tweet? But also, do you have any relationship with Madden, given how much I'm firmly on the camp that you should be getting paid for the amount of attention you're bringing them? But what do you think about that?
The tweet, that guy's, that's really ridiculous. I really couldn't believe that tweet.
They had to issue a statement.
Yeah, because he works for a publisher.
He works for Google Stadia, like their cloud. Their cloud offering, and like Stadia had to put out a tweet basically like walking back what he said.
I can't believe he didn't take it down. I've never seen someone get so much backlash and just dig in their heels and keep the tweet up.
There's some funny tweet that's like, every day Twitter has like one character that's starring in the movie and you never want to be that character. And that day he was the character who, like, you never want to be the guy on Twitter that day.
That's so true. That's 100% true. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an archaic way of thinking, but also, I mean, even if his point was correct and they were paying people to do this, that's just so inorganic that it wouldn't be successful. The stuff that we do and the stuff that the 2K guys do and that the FIFA guys do, that stuff's organic. And I think if I was, I guess the word I would say is shill, like if I was on EA's side for most things, I guess to that second point, they hate me, absolutely hate me. I am blocked on every single social media by Electronic Arts.
I know that.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I think it's really funny, but I totally understand. I would have me blocked too. I mean, I know there's whole YouTube channels dedicated to being critics of EA, but there's absolutely no doubt that anyone who watches my channel that I'm not a fan of the way that they run stuff. And I'm totally fine with that. I think that's, especially from my point of view, that's the right side to be on. There was a point in time where they offered me EA Game Changer status. That would have been 4 years ago, where like I would actually be an Electronic Arts Game Changer, which is their Game Changer program. You can't promote coin selling, you can't disparage the game, but they have had some incredible opportunities that they've gotten to do, which I missed out on. Like they got to
meet athletes, right?
Oh yeah. There was like a video where they're doing like one-on-ones with James Harden, one-on-ones with Antonio Brown, got to like catch football as Rob Gronkowski, go to the Super Bowl. Those are really cool opportunities that I passed up. But I don't know. I think the player base in general doesn't really like the way that they do stuff. So if you really want to be like a man of the people, if you want to represent Madden, you kind of have to not like EA. That's kind of how it is, which is sad, but
I respect it. The cliche way to say it, but I think it's true, is you're keeping your authenticity there. And like ultimately, if you bet long-term on what you're doing, short-term, yes, you get some pretty fucking cool videos and some great thumbnails and some cool titles. But long-term, it's going to be hard to build a community consistently if people feel like you're not being genuine, particularly if the game doesn't have the best reviews sometimes.
Very true. Very, very true.
So when I was growing up, my goal, my career was, I thought I was somehow going to get my ass on the desk of Sports Center, and that I knew I wasn't good enough at sports. For some reason, I thought I was good enough at talking. I don't think I am, but Sports Center was my goal. And as someone like you who I feel like you're in the tweener age, where Sports Center was not as hot as it was when I was a kid because YouTube was starting to grow. How do you view kind of that whole change, where I think kids now want to be maybe a YouTuber, sports YouTuber versus an anchor?
I think when you get the big corporations like that, I think at some point they're going to try to do whatever's the most popular. They're just going to hit it so much later than they should. Like you see corporations advertising on TikTok now, and it's like, it's really cringy. It's really unorganic, at least for the most part. And it's pretty bad. Like I'll see a TikTok ad. I just saw a TikTok ad from Mio when I went to upload a TikTok yesterday, and it was so bad. Like it was very painful to watch. You know, you like squirt it in your water. Mio liquid. Yeah. It was such a bad ad. I really didn't like it, but
you remember it.
Yeah, I totally remember. So
maybe it must have been.
It was. And I'm talking about it here. Shit. It's a genius ad.
No free ads.
So I think that the ESPNs and the sports centers of the world, especially as TV, I think as TV's kind of on the decline, are going to move into something like this. So I think they might make things more corporate, but you make a really good point about like the Pat McAfee show. You know, that thing's absolutely incredible, and it's going to be a powerhouse in the industry of just like sports commentary type stuff for the next 10 plus years. And Sports Center and all of them, I think they're going to catch on. So I think rather than, YouTubers getting poached from what they're doing, or like sports commentary people like Pat McAfee getting poached and pulled onto the podium for Sports Center, I think the big corporations are going to say, hey, we don't actually need this $2 billion production budget to do this stuff. We can do it way more cost effective with bigger personalities that are doing it on their own, through a medium like YouTube or TikTok. I think it's going to come our direction. Maybe that's silly, but I don't know.
So this is my prediction, and you can tell me what you think about it. I think in a small window, I think when I watch a game, so Amazon has the rights. I had to figure out my Amazon video to watch that Arizona. Who did they beat?
49ers game or Bills game?
Yeah, Arizona 49ers game. And so the game was on Amazon Prime. And I think Amazon, which owns Twitch, is going to eventually get a world where I'm going to be able to switch who I want talking about the game. So if I don't want to hear two old 40-year-old dudes say the same cliches over again, I can switch to the Pat McAfee and MMG channel. I can switch to a different channel, the Nick Merckx channel. I can go to people who excel in particularly live commentary, but who resonate with me versus, I'm going to use Chris Collinsworth, even though I do like Chris Collinsworth. I don't have a relationship with Chris Collinsworth, but I feel like I know you because of your YouTube videos, and I feel like I know Pat because he's just such an authentic human. And so that's where I could see you fitting in this world, is you bringing new people on to Twitch to watch these games because they want to see you do it versus Chris.
That sounds amazing. I had never thought about that before, but you make an incredible point. And I saw a bunch of people on Twitter. That was kind of like the star of the day on Twitter, was talking about how the announcers are so copy paste. And honestly, there's nothing they can do about it. Like Chris Collinsworth has commentated 200 plus, 200 is actually an understatement. He's probably counted 2,000 plus NFL games or sports football games in general.
Right.
So yeah, when he says the same 10 things over and over and you get really used to his voice, that is pretty boring. Well, but they're spending a bunch of money and they have those guys. I think you make a really good point. That would be really cool.
Well, to me, it's like if you have to appeal to everyone, you're kind of just going to, it's Chris's job to be sort of bland. Like you can't, like when Pat did the broadcast, I fucking loved it. But there's probably some uptight people in, what place am I going to choose? Brooklyn, where I live, who are just like, who is this jabroni? Why is he screaming about for the brand? I want like my nice Jim Nance voice. So I think the future hopefully is a place where every group of people can pick the people they want to listen to. And that's where I could see you fit in.
I like that a lot. That's a really cool idea.
All right. So my last thing, I'm going to role play with you in not a weird way. I'm going to give you an offer. All right. Okay. So I am the CEO of ESPN. And I'm going to give you a 4-year deal.
Oh boy.
At $1.5 million a year.
Oh boy.
But you're fully exclusive. You can't do any YouTube. Can't do anything.
I'm turning it down. I'm definitely turning it down. I'm turning it down.
Think about how awesome that is.
It's like the dream job totally for me too. When I was younger, absolutely. But corporate America,
awesome for you. I'm saying that's awesome that you can turn down that. Like I would do the same shit. I don't mean the job is awesome. I wrote that question thinking you were going to answer the way you do because you have built that power, right? Like you have built your own media power. So gone are the days where you have to go to ESPN to get that distribution because you have it. And I just think it's so, and I hear the same shit from like Pat and other people. It's like, it's so awesome that you can enter any of those conversations and be like, you're nice. Listen, you want to put MMG on game day. I bet you'll do pretty good at an MSU game, but like, I don't need you. Right. It's like such a cool concept.
I never thought about it like that, but yeah, that feels pretty good to think about it like that. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would be scared to do that too. That's so corporate and there's so much more that goes into it. I think that goes back to the production thing. You don't need
right.
You can make incredible stuff for like such a fraction of the stuff that the big companies are using it for right now. Absolutely.
Yeah. I watch I'm a loser and I watch CNBC Business News and the images are like this. Actually, sometimes they're even worse. And I find it more endearing to see like some guy in his apartment with his kids running around in the background than like this uptight studio with all these graphics. Like I actually find it much more endearing and interesting to me to see people in their living rooms and like their life behind them. And like, what does that change for production budgets in that world? You don't need to come into New York and sit in a studio. You could do this from your bedroom. And I actually find it better.
I totally agree. Well, have you ever seen, do you watch NFL Red Zone at all?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the behind the scenes of them doing the NFL Red Zone?
No.
It's actually pretty low production compared to a lot of the stuff they do, like at the crazy big networks. Right. And that's like the NFL Red Zone is like the best thing in the world to me. It is the coolest behind the scenes video. You got to check it out after this. I love it. Like seeing what, oh my God, what's his name?
Chris Hansen. Not Chris Hansen. Is it Chris
Hansen? Chris Hansen's the Predator guy, right?
No, it's Scott Hansen.
Scott Hansen. Or no, wait, is Scott Hansen the Predator guy?
Hansen.
Who's to catch a predator? It's Hansen. Whatever. It's Hansen. Hansen, NFL Red Zone. Behind the scenes, oh shoot, I'm going off real good. Yes, we both know what we're talking about. The behind the scenes of that. Yeah, it's just him, and there's I think there's 2 or 3 other people which, you know, I think as it would be even less than the crew of like a Pat McAfee, and then a big green screen. And it's so cool. I just thought that was awesome. And that reminded me of like, this is one of the coolest things that I watch. And they're not doing some absolutely massive, you know, production. So I like that.
Yep. All right. Actually, the last question. So 5 years from now, this is like an interview question. 5 years from now, what would success look like for you? So what are you doing in 5 years? And you're just like, all right, I executed on this LA playbook. Maybe you're not in LA.
Oh yeah, I won't be. I don't think I'll be in LA. I think the long-term goal for me was, and I guess this is less of a career thing, but I wanted to lock up a house close to my family on the lake in Michigan, which we just did, like literally 7 days ago.
Let's fucking go.
It's super cool. You guys are absolutely welcome to join anytime you want.
You got like a wave? You got like a boat or something you're getting for it?
Yeah, okay. It's awesome. It's so cool. I got to see you guys out here in the summer.
All right.
So there's that. And then the other half of that goal is then a house in a warm state that I really like, so that I can be like an old person and flip between, you know, summers in Michigan and then the rest of it is there. And after that, I would just be grateful to be, if I was continuing to make videos, that would be incredible. I think Madden really does have the longevity to do it. I honestly would like to have a show as well. I think that would be so cool. I think what McAfee does is incredible. I really look up to like what he does, to be honest with you. And I think there's a niche that's unfulfilled for the younger, really kind of what I make YouTube videos for. Like I definitely make YouTube videos for like, I would say kids anywhere from 13 to like 24-ish. You know, I think it's kind of that range, definitely more in like the 14, 15, 16-year-olds range. I think there's a niche for that, to talk about like NFL games and something like that on a show, like live as well, something like that, basically. So I think if I was doing that, and I had my house in Michigan, I have my house in maybe Arizona. I'm going to try that out next year. I'm going to go to Scottsdale, Arizona next year, see how that goes. That'd be success. Then I can happily slow down and live my life. That sounds really cool.
Awesome, man. Well, this is it. Thank you. This was awesome.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much. I was super happy to be on. You're the best. And I better see you and the rest of the crew in Michigan in the summer.
Oh, Greg will be there with a Coors Light
beer,
with a Coors Light in his hands, and he'll give you like one of these, like he's been there before. And
I gotta
tell you about Purdue basketball that no one wants to fucking hear about.
I got to get a beer diet table for him.
Yeah,
I got to make sure one's set up for when he's there.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much.
Okay, that is the episode, folks. I'm going to do a quick outro on my 3 major takeaways. The first is I'm still hung up on this mindset of a 14-year-old MMG. I mean, at this point, virtual currencies have gone mainstream, whether it's NBA Top Shot, NFTs, crypto, Ethereum, Bitcoin. I mean, it is part of mainstream culture. But back in 2014, when MMG was on the bus and his friend wanted to give him 20 real-world dollars for $1 million in virtual currency in Madden, that was not the case. It was not a thing. But MMG realized this opportunity. He doubled down. He bought 20 Android phones. He found a room in his parents' house. He lined up those power strips. He found the bot script, and he started, his entrepreneurial journey. He started doing YouTube videos. He started going on Instagram. And I think I just love that mindset of that 14-year-old kid, because when I was 14 years old, believe me, I was not thinking of that. The second is that you can go to college and be a content creator. I think there's this mindset amongst some people that once you start seeing traction in your content, you need to quit everything, go to LA, join a TikTok house, get an earring. And MMG just proves that. He built his own content empire, 700 million views, all while being a full-time student at Michigan State. It is not an either or thing. You can do both, and MMG really proves that. The final takeaway for me is the sports media landscape is changing. And we already knew that, but it's different when you hear it from the person who's really gaining the power, because power is shifting away from these traditional media entities, from ESPN to content creators because ESPN doesn't have that chokehold on distribution. And MMG can build a channel on his own. He can go directly to the people and build his own audience. And that last line he said really stood out to me. That line that we, meaning content creators, don't need ESPN anymore. We actually think ESPN is going to come to us. All right. Thank you for listening. If you could please subscribe and rate, that would be awesome.